started my life all over. Each day's a new bit of me. I'm learning to laugh when I used to cry. He opened the world up to me. And now I'm a child with a different life, the one that he gave to me. I'm heading down a much brighter path. Listen to the angels sing. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he opened up my world. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he's a light unto the world. Where there was sadness, I found that I could sing. Fortune is for those to find happiness within. Whoa, it's a wonder, yes it is, what life can be. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's not a minute to spare with a lie in your heart, trying to look to tomorrows. You're only fooling yourself and nobody else, which only leads to sorrow. And when you lead your life with you in command, life's troubles seem more harder. But with God in your life, you're gonna take a stand and make your life more stronger. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he opened up my world. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he's a light unto the world. Where there was sadness, I found that I could sing. Fortune is for those to find happiness within. Whoa, it's a wonder, yes it is, what life can be. Yeah, yeah, rejoice unto the Lord. Yeah, yeah, he's a light unto the world. He's a light unto the world. He's a light unto the world. Spreads the light for us to see in times of strife and times of need. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he's a light unto the world. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he's a light unto the world. Hallelujah, rejoice unto the Lord. Hallelujah, he's a light unto the world.
If you have a heavy heart, if every dream is torn apart, remember, tomorrow is another day. If each thing you say or do is twisted until it sounds untrue, remember, tomorrow is another day. You will find a love to guide you, faith will show the light. Keep in mind God walks beside you through the darkest night. Foolish pride may cause you pain, and though your life is filled with rain, remember, tomorrow is another day. God walks beside you through the darkest night. Foolish pride may cause you pain, and though your life is filled with rain, remember, tomorrow is another day. Spring flows to the river and the river to the sea. Which way are we going? It don't matter to me. The road becomes a highway that seems to never end. I think of where I'm going, I think of where I've been. Rain kiss the flowers and the mountains hug the sky. Mother shall have us all someday when we die. Why not get together? Let you and I be friends. We might never meet again. Sky, a summer breeze moves in to take away the clouds of rain, leave a clear blue sky, and the weeping willow need no longer cry. A blind man can find a home, as some things he can see. Reflections on the water, I see that you see me. Deserts of time will sometimes pass us by, but your eyes look so blue, I wonder why. Rain kiss the flowers and the mountains hug the sky. Mother shall have us all someday when we die. Why not get together? Let you and I be friends. We might never meet again. We might never meet again.
change, changing players in the same old game. Time, change, they got my number and they got my name.
I think it's pretty good. We're teaching the other students about who Elizabeth Peratrovich was.
I would not have expected that I, who am barely as savagery, would have to remind gentlemen with 5,000 years of recorded civilization behind them of our Bill of Rights. No law will.
These young people did not know they could do what they did in this play. And this play has changed their life forever.
These boxes are a gateway to Alaska history. Hello, I'm Scott Foster, and welcome to Rain Country. This is the Alaska State Library Historical Section. It's where many people start to research Alaska people and historic events. One Southeast playwright came here to learn more about an important Alaska civil rights leader. The result was a play documenting the passage of Alaska's 1945 anti-discrimination law. Hoona students performed the drama honoring Elizabeth Wanamaker Peratrovich.
She was a Native woman who was fighting for what she believed in.
She was a person who was against discrimination in the 1940s. She helped Indian children get into public schools.
She was a woman that really cared about her family.
What she did should be as well known as Martin Luther King's doings in the 60s, because Elizabeth Peratrovich was very instrumental in pulling the territory of Alaska together and accomplishing this Equal Rights Act. Her effort should be known nationwide as well as across Alaska.
I would not have expected that I, who am barely as savagery, would have to remind gentlemen with 5,000 years of recorded civilization behind them of our Bill of Rights.
These words were spoken by Elizabeth Peratrovich before the 1945 territorial legislature. The Senate was ready to defeat the anti-discrimination bill, but Peratrovich's speech is credited with swaying the votes needed to pass the bill.
This soup of race attitude is wrong and forces our fine Native people to be associated with less than desirable circumstances.
The play not only recalls the words of Elizabeth Peratrovich, but also those of Alaska legislators and delegates to several Grand Camp conventions of the Alaska Native Brotherhood and Alaska Native Sisterhood. Appropriately, the story has been performed for today's legislators and Grand Camp delegates.
You're performing in front of Grand Camp. These people know the story. They know it. They lived it.
They are the story.
Okay? And so they're going to really be looking to this with pride. And let's give them something to really be proud about, okay?
This bill, when passed, will advance the United States. When passed, it will be first such document to be passed by any state or territory since the Civil War. Thank you.
Okay, I think you're leaving off bills. And this has helped us frame the anti-discrimination resolution. This convention will be asked to vote on this session. Then when you say this bill, when passed, will be the first such document.
So you want me to say
The play evolved from a Tlingit and Haida Central Council research project designed to tell a national conference about Elizabeth Peratrovich. The Hoona Youth Advocate Project organized the production and formed the Elizabeth Peratrovich Players. And those players learned more from the play than just the story of an Alaska civil rights leader.
What this play is doing to help the kids is it's building their self-esteem. It's giving them ways to communicate in other forms
It's showing them other sides of themselves that they did not know and see. So it's giving them more purpose, and it's keeping them from self-destructive behavior in the way that they formed a code of conduct for themselves. And this is high standards. They need to keep their grades up and put forth their best foot in education. They can't cuss or they get a $1 fine, and this is all their rules, their code of conduct they formed. They cannot drink, smoke, or be in trouble with the law. So it keeps them from self-destructive behavior, and this is the kids saying it.
The next day I arrived at the parlor. The shop owner had told me, "I'm sorry, we don't cater to Indian trade." I got angry and advised that lady that I am 100% Swiss born and wouldn't take her permanent if she gave it to me free. Apparently she saw me walking down the street with her. Well, I messed up. It takes a lot of courage to build up to be able to go on stage and perform in front of everybody because you're really nervous. And I still get that way sometimes. And it's kind of, you get up there and you're looking out in front of a crowd and you kind of space out and you forget your lines and then everybody's looking at you.
Once you get your lines down, it's pretty easy. But when you're got to do motions, it gets a little bit more complicated because you get mixed up in stuff.
It's more fun than I thought it would be.
Why is it more fun?
Because we get to travel and there's like all kinds of people having standing ovations for us, clapping.
I learned a lot through this play because I learned what people go through being discriminated, and I learned how the people that are prejudiced against Native people, I learned how they felt and how they felt amongst themselves and thought they were higher than others. And I also felt discriminated against.
She got him in the thinking mode of how it felt to be discriminated against with exercises like, without telling them what was happening. She'd call them in for rehearsal and they would all be sitting in a group. And Lonnie said, for those of you wearing white shirts, you can sit on the chairs, and those that don't have white on, you've got to sit on the floor. And she began her, I think it was a 2-hour session this way.
When they realized the star Elizabeth Peratrovich came and brought it to my attention, she said, "I know what you're doing." And they said, "What am I doing?" And she says, "Well, you're making us suffer discrimination so we realize what our ancestors went through." And they said, "You're right. What are you going to do about that?" And Cora says, "Well, I'm going to get together with the group and we're going to confront you on this." And they said, "You've got the real picture."
The other thing for you to remember is that you are not yourselves. When you're doing this play, focus in on your character and what that character was trying to say. What was he trying to put across, okay? Go for it.
Mr. President, I also oppose of this equal rights bill. I believe from my experiences that these measures is a lawyer's dream and naturally created hard feelings between the whites and natives. As you can see, there are already hard feelings here. I do not want to sit next to an Eskimo in the theater. They stink. Most natives are... Well, what Lonnie says is, it's not you that's up there, it's the actor. So I usually don't believe any of it, I just say it.
It would pretty much be pretty tough to say something like that. Like saying what he's saying, can't stand sit next to an Eskimo or something.
Why would that be hard for you to say?
Because being Native myself, and I can't really say, oh, I don't want to sit next to this white person because he stinks. You can't. It's really hard to say that in front of 100 people or so, saying that it's about someone else.
The play begins in 1941. At that time, it was not uncommon to see signs saying, "No natives allowed." The Grand Camp of the Alaska Native Brotherhood and Alaska Native Sisterhood met in Heidelberg that year. Henrietta Newton told the delegates it was time to do something about discrimination.
I am very pleased to be here today. I am a school teacher who lives in Cake with my Tlingit husband. This fall, while I was in Juneau getting winter supplies for my family, I called the beauty parlor and made an arrangement to have my hair permed. The next day I arrived at the parlor. The owner had told me, "I'm sorry, we don't cater to Indian trade." Apparently, she must have saw me walking down the street with my sister-in-law and her children and thought that I too am also native. I got angry and advised that lady that I am 100% Swiss-born and wouldn't take her permit if she gave it to me free. I proceeded to walk out of the shop. She followed me to the door trying to apologize, but to me the damage was already done. I was insulted and hurt. My husband is a very good person, and my children don't deserve this kind of an attitude. This is discrimination, and it's wrong. I know how it feels to be discriminated against after that incident, and I don't want my children to have to live with that kind of rejection. This discrimination is not a new thing, but has to be addressed to the future of our children. Thank you for hearing me out.
Other delegates related similar stories about discrimination.
I know of an Aleut girl living in Sitka that wanted to attend a white public school because of the music program. Her father is white, the family is Christian, and they speak more than one language. She went to the U.S. courts to be judged an American citizen so she can go to that white public school. She was denied because she goes to fish camp every summer with her Aleut grandmother to put up food. This is considered uncivilized?
Across Juneau is one place where I think that has signs on doors that says no natives allowed. Other businesses have the same kind of signs that says we cater to white trade only, or no dogs, no natives allowed. We can only live in certain parts of town in Juneau. We are not welcome in most business places.
This is an outrage. We are the real natives of Alaska, by reason of our ancestors who have guarded these shores for generations past. We will still and always be here to guard our beloved country, long after hordes of whites flee south with their earnings made from flagrant abuse of our rights and our country.
By 1943, the Alaska Native Brotherhood and the Alaska Native Sisterhood had formed an alliance with Governor Ernest Greening. Bob Bartlett represented the governor at the Grand Camp Convention that year.
Next on the agenda, we have a very distinguished guest who carries with him a message from our esteemed Governor Ernest Greening. I am pleased to introduce to you Mr. Bob Bartlett, Territorial Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Grand President, Madam President. Governor Greening writes, "It is a privilege to extend greetings to Alaska Native Brotherhood. I regret that I'm not able to accept your invitation in person as I'm in Washington on official business. These conventions are valuable and produce much benefit to the Native peoples of Alaska. It is my belief that it is necessary for the Native people of Alaska to assume a more important part in their territorial affairs. Indians, Aleuts, and Eskimos are approximately 1/2 of Alaska's population, our oldest population. Here before the white man, in every sense of the word, Native people are the truest, year in and year out, all season, 100% Alaskans."
Greening's letter told the convention delegates to make sure others knew of the importance of the discrimination issue, to nominate suitable candidates in the primaries, and to vote.
In conclusion, I wish to say that I'm happy to work with you in reaching these objectives I have discussed and wish you the greatest success in your efforts to do so. Signed, Ernest Greening.
Elections were held in 1944, and at the Grand Camp Convention that year, 2 new members of the territorial legislature were welcomed.
Please. Andrew Hope and Frank Peratrovich, this year's new members of the 1945 legislature.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam President. Thank you all very, very much. To let you know how Brother Andrew and I fared in the state elections. We ran first and third out of 15 candidates in the primaries. In the general election, we ran second and third out of 16 candidates. This is evidence that racial prejudice is not as considerable as it is in the territorial legislature. The results across Alaska show that the Alaskans are willing to judge and elect men on the basis of merit and not the color of your skin. Thank you.
In 1945, an anti-discrimination bill came before the territorial legislature. A majority of Senate members were opposed to the bill, and although the gallery was packed with Alaska Natives, legislators were not afraid to voice their beliefs.
My name is Joseph Green. As Chairman of the Senate, I will be chairing this hearing on a bill entitled, An Act to Provide for Full and Equal Accommodations, Facilities, and Privileges to All Citizens in Places of Public Accommodation within the jurisdiction of the Territory of Alaska, to provide penalties to violations. It reads, be it enacted by the legislature of the Territory of Alaska. Section 1. All citizens within the jurisdiction of the Territory of Alaska shall be entitled to the full and equal enjoyment of accommodations, advantages, facilities, and privileges, subject only to the conditions and limitations established by laws and applicable alike to all citizens. Section 2. Any person who shall violate or aid or incite a violation of said full and equal enjoyment, or any person who shall display any printed or written sign indicating a discrimination on racial grounds of said full and equal enjoyment, for each day for which said sign is displayed shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment in jail for not more than 30 days or fined no more than $250 or both.
Mr. Chairman, on the floor.
The chair recognizes Senator Alan Shattuck.
I am violently opposed to this bill. Far from being brought closer together, which will result in this bill. There should be kept further apart. I mean, who are these people? Barely out of savagery, now associated with us whites with 5,000 years with recorded civilization behind us.
Mr. Chairman?
The chair recognizes Senator Frank Whaley.
I'm a gold miner in Bushpot, Fairbanks. I also oppose of this equal rights bill. As a bush pilot, I believe from my experiences that these measures is a lawyer's dream and naturally created hard feelings between the whites and the natives. As you can see, there are already hard feelings here. I do not want to sit next to an Eskimo in a theater. They stink. Most natives are not civilized, and I will not be exposed to them and punished if I refuse to even want to be around one. This bill is outrageous.
Mr. President?
The chair recognizes Senator Talbot Scott.
Thank you. I wish to declare my opposition to the proposed law unless it is amended. Mixed breeds are the source of trouble. It is they who wish to associate with the whites. It would have been better had the Eskimos put up signs "No whites allowed." This issue is simply an effort to create political capital for some legislators. Certainly the white women have kept their part in keeping the race distinct. Had the white men done their part too, there would be no racial feelings in Alaska.
Mr. Chairman?
The chair recognizes Senator Grenold Collins.
I speak in support of Senator Scott's position. The Eskimos of St. Lawrence Island have not suffered from the white man's evil, and they are well off. The Eskimos are not an inferior race, but an individual race. The pure Eskimos are proud of their origin and aware that harm comes to them from mixing with the whites. Why I believe in racial pride and think this bill will do nothing but arouse bitterness. Why we should prohibit the sale of liquor to these natives. That's the real root of our trouble.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor?
The chair recognizes Senator Odie Cochran.
I wish to say that I'm personally assailed by Senator Whaley's remarks. I can recite numerous instances of discrimination that I myself have been a witness to. An Eskimo woman was removed from a movie theater by force when she dared to sit in the white section. She even ended up in jail over it. It would take way too much time to tell you what I've seen throughout Alaska, but knowing that I've seen it. There is blatant discrimination in Alaska, and I stand in support of this equal rights bill.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor?
The chair recognizes Senator Norman Walker.
I hold firm in favor of this bill. I know of no instances where a native has died from a broken heart, but I do know of situations where discrimination has forced Indian women to live lives worse than death. Thank you.
The chair recognizes witness Mr. Jones.
I am Mr. Jones. I like to speak out for the white and native races in Alaska. To do otherwise would further complicate matters worse than they are already. We are not ready or willing to accept the mixings of the races. It just will not work.
Chair recognizes witness Reverend S.O. White.
In the name of God, I cannot fathom how a law like this could possibly change a situation to which has always been. Natives are not sufficiently educated or advanced enough to believe they can successfully mix with the white race. Look at the way they live. They are backwards in their thinking. It would take 30 to 100 years for the natives to reach the equality of a white man.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to call upon Mr. Roy Peratrovich to testify.
Mr. Peratrovich, would you like to testify? Mr. Peratrovich, would you please establish your educational background and on what authority do you come forward to speak for the natives?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate, being a college graduate from the University of Western Washington and Grand Camp President for the Alaska Native Brotherhood since 1940, I stand before you today to testify in behalf of the Equal Rights Bill. I would like to remind that the Honorable Governor Ernest Greening put in his report to the Secretary of the Interior, as well as in his message to the legislature, that they have recognized discrimination all across Alaska. Even the plank adopted by the Democratic Party at its last convention in Fairbanks recognized action on behalf of the natives. As you all may or may not know, a plank is stated principles that make up a platform or program of a political party, such as the Democratic Party. There are members here today who will frame that plank. Only natives can know how it feels to be discriminated against. Either you are for this bill or you are against it accordingly. Think about that very carefully as you vote on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Peratrovich. It is established legislative custom to offer the audience a chance to voice their views. Is there anyone else present who would like to come forward and voice their views?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Elizabeth Peratrovich. I'm the Grand President of the ANS. I'd like to be heard.
Yes, Mrs. Peratrovich, please come forward.
I would not have expected that I, who am barely at savagery, would have to remind gentlemen 5,000 years of recorded civilization behind them of our Bill of Rights. When my husband and I came to Juneau and sought a new home in a nice neighborhood where our children could play happily with our neighbors' children, and when we found such a home and arranged to lease it. When the owners learned that we were natives, they said no. Would we be compelled to live in the slums? There are three kinds of people who practice discrimination. First, the politician, who wants to maintain and fear a minority so he could always promise them something. Second, the Mr. and Mrs. Jones, who aren't quite sure of the social position, who are nice to one occasion and can't see you in others, depending on who they're with. Third, the great Superman, who believes in superiority of the white race. Discrimination, suffered by myself and my friends, has forced the finest of our native people to associate with white trash. This super race attitude is wrong and forced our fine native people to associate with less than desirable circumstances.
Mrs. Peratrovich, do you think that the proposed bill could eliminate discrimination?
Do your laws against larceny and even murder prevent those crimes? No law will eliminate crimes, but you, as legislators, can assert to the world of the evil presence and help us overcome discrimination. Thank you.
The Alaska Territorial Senate passed the anti-discrimination bill 11-5. 8 days later, on February 16, 1945, Governor Greening signed it into law. In 1988, the Alaska State Legislature honored Elizabeth Peratrovich by marking the anniversary of this law as Elizabeth Peratrovich Day, a woman whose life and work still have an impact on Alaskans.
The impact that it's had on the performers is vast because it affects so many aspects in their life. It has built their self-esteem. The acceptance of the play at the Tarot Convention was something that I don't believe the kids expected, and they had a standing ovation for quite a long time, so that was all new to them.
And it's matured me. It's made me realize that I'm not the only one that's really important, that there's a lot of other people in the past, in the future, and present
I think it's pretty good. We're teaching the other students about who Elizabeth Peratrovich was.
And then I like going up there and trying to show everybody how it feels to be discriminated against, and maybe they'll learn from how we were showing the play, and then maybe they'll stop discriminating against people.
Everybody, not one person has been able to come up to me and tell me that they haven't had a lump in their throat or shed a tear remembering. This play has brought back a lot of memories that hurt, and so it's a lot of unresolved hurt that's being faced by those, my mother's age group, and those that were firsthand victims of this kind of thinking.
Some of us went through those times. Some of us remember even people walking by you holding their coats so that they wouldn't brush against you because of our nationality. And equal rights were really hard to come by. The younger generation has forgotten a lot of this, and you, the Hoona youth, are to be commended for what you have done, what you have learned, and what you are showing us even today. It seems to say thank you just doesn't begin to cover it. What a beautiful job you have done.
These young people are so amazing. I'm so proud of them. They were introverts, still kids off the street, very smart, and did not know they could do what they did in this play. I know everyone's been overwhelmed, including themselves, as to what they've done. This play has changed their life forever.
The spirit of Elizabeth Peratrovich is alive yet today. To offer this bright spirit to the rest of the United States for recognition will bring the light of a full circle. The enlightenment that we are all indeed created equal.
This replica of the Liberty Bell is a symbol of the freedoms and rights we enjoy and claim as Americans. Sometimes it takes people like Elizabeth Peratrovich to remind us that those rights are to be shared equally by all. I'm Scott Foster. Have a good day.
I took a trip away up north to have a little fun. A friend told me the place to go was the land of the midnight sun. Off the great northwest, way up the great northwest. Men, oh men out there, I swear, they wrestle with a grizzly bear. Punch his nose and comb his hair off the great northwest. They have a brand of fishes serving every mountain brook. You have to hide behind a tree to get to bait your hook. Off the great northwest, way up the great northwest, mosquitoes there just seem to grow twice as big as any crow. They drink rum and beer, you know, off the great northwest. I tried my hand at digging gold, my work was all in vain. They caught me with my pick and pan on someone else's claim. Out the great northwest, way up the great northwest, men, oh men out there are tough, they like to play it wild and rough. Me, I'm just a little scruff out the great northwest. I sat one night in a poker game, but I sort of had to leave. I had 5 aces in my hand and a joker up my sleeve. Out the great northwest, way up the great northwest, the weather gets so cold up there, they chop a hole in the Arctic air, hibernate like a grizzly bear out the great northwest. I took a dolly out one night, someone else's wife. When he came home, I hit the road, running for my life. Out the great northwest, way up the great northwest, they say to be a sourdough, there's a row you've got to hoe. Will I make it? Got a bear to go out the great northwest. Out the great northwest, way out the great northwest. Once I was a cheap choco, but now I am a sourdough. And off that bear for a loop, you know, out in the great northwest. Well, out in the great northwest.
Don't let me go alone to Costco. I can't stand temptation and I'm bound to fail. Don't let me go alone to Costco. I've been in the wilderness for 40 days and nights. Lord, I can't resist the chance to buy wholesale. Well, there's 7 deadly sins. You can find them in Bernard. You don't have to search or even look real hard. There's 7 deadly sins. They'll make you weep and wail. They're all out at Costco and they're priced wholesale. Covetousness. I want that snow blower just like my next door neighbor Todd. Pride. Broken by the case, cause the higher the hell, the closer to God. Lust. Oh, that apple juice lady, she sends me to heaven with every gaze. Lord, to me, 50 pounds of M&M's and I see you. I see into your souls, and I know your type. Now listen, I know what you want to do. I know what you're craving to do. I know your every earthly desire, and that's just sin, isn't it? Oh yes, the brother Jerry Lee knows you just want to sin. Now don't you? You just want to sin. Oh baby, you just want to, you just want to sin, don't you? Oh. I can't stand retail. I gotta praise wholesale. I'm buying it cheap. Oh, I'm stacking it deep. Open your heart and fill up your cart. The flesh is weak.